All you, Katrina. Just unmute. Welcome everyone to our community and hemp conversation. Today's topic is
hemp and what that means for the new timeline. I don't know if that's exactly worded as we put it, but
yeah. So we're going to open up
and
our
how relevant is hemp for the new timeline?
Yeah, so we're gonna start by opening up our circle or time together while everyone gets settled, and then we will start. So go ahead, Katrina.
So let's all just take a moment to ground and be where we are in the very room, in the very spot within Earth Mother. And with your next exhale, allow your attention to just drop into your body, deep into your body. And then maybe even lower down into your feet where you make contact with the earth. And allow your imagination to go even deeper and follow those roots. You go deep into the earth, deep, anchoring. Allow that root now to travel all the way to Earth Mother's heart with her arms outstretched, reaching out to you, welcoming you into her heart. Heart, earth, anchoring. And with your next breath in, bring that back up into your body and into your heart. Heart to heart now with earth. With your next exhale, imagine your attention and breath goes up, up, out of the top of your head, journeying all the way to the center, the heart of the galactic mother, the Milky Way. And her heart and arms open and welcome you home to her heart. And when you inhale, you bring that heart galactic energy in, down through the top of your head and into your heart. And now together, heaven and earth are both entwined within your own heart as the living embodiment of heaven and earth. And with this embodiment, our heaven-earth community reaches out and touches all of the hearts of heaven, earth, and body right here, right now, and those within our community that will be listening later or just simply part of this beautiful web or grid, which is already activated. We are Heaven Earth.
Thank you, love. Aho. Oh, welcome everyone. We have been on quite an adventure activating the grid since River and I left Chicha's a couple of weeks ago. Some of you, we've been trying to keep everybody updated on our journey through the email communication. So 2 weeks in Hawaii, landed in Seattle, hopped over to Orcas Island, did a beautiful Freedom Potluck and Hemp Talk in Seattle, and then in Portland, Oregon, and then went through Ashland, down to Montague, Nevada City, where we saw many of you in all those places. And now we're in Idaho, and we're up in Sun Valley right now. So we're really excited to kind of weave together what's coming through for us on these travels, a deeper understanding of what we're actually doing. Obviously, many of us gathering around freedom and looking for sovereign solutions, looking for exit strategy. But I think there's a deeper understanding too that's coming through for us on what's happening as, we're this activation. There's sort of a catalyst that's happening in the community. And I think we'll have some shares today that will dive deeper into that, but I know River wanted to kind of open up really specifically around hemp as part of the solution for this new timeline. And then we wanted to invite you, Michael, to share your passion for hemp. And then Eliana and Bobby are there in Montague. And I hope many of you, if you didn't get to watch it yet, gets to see her community highlight. It's actually a 2-part video, one on the land, the 38 acres they have, and another at the studio where the Felting Collective is. And we spent a couple of days there. And then we also have David on, we're going to be traveling to Mexico with at the beginning of the month. And I think Chicha and a few others will join us, looking for land in Mexico. So sharing his vision. And then we also have on here, I think Johnny was going to pop in. We were just with him in Shoshone. So if he comes on, we'll share his community highlight next week. He's a rancher, longtime rancher here in Idaho. And we stayed with them yesterday. So we have a lot to share, and then obviously we'll open it up for all of you to share, but I'll just pass it to River to kind of kick off the hemp conversation and why we feel like it's so relevant for these times.
Hey, it's been a while. Feels like it's been a while. Yeah, thanks for showing up. It's just been really interesting for me and for us. I think everybody's looking for places to get back to the land, and I think what's really relevant is these agricultural areas that have really over the last decades or longer, from Mora, New Mexico to Montague to other areas, Shoshone. These are all ones very vibrant agricultural areas. They had logistics, they had, a whole system in place that was operational and functional to ship food around the country and all kinds of stuff. And obviously, then we get into wartime, and then the advent of chemical agriculture came around because they had a surplus of weaponry, toxic material to unload somewhere. So, it's gone into our soil, and even these agricultural areas that haven't really been used that much, that have become, let's say, dormant, abandoned, yeah, in some cases. The land's still kind of toxic. Like, you look at Maui, where we were just out at, and the land was toxified because of sugarcane
And pineapples.
And pineapples. And, for some years now, it's been left to just kind of fester, and people wondering what they're going to do to revitalize the soil there. And so it really seems relevant about bringing hemp into the conversation, not only because of its power to provide us with goods, internal medicine, clothing, building materials, etc., bioplastics, whatever we can think of. There's something in the hemp plant has for it. Fuel, bring it to these areas where actually it can be useful to regenerate the soil. And I was just on a conversation yesterday with the lady who's running the Farmers Association in Maui, and one of the people who came to our workshop there wanted a reference to do a program with them, farming, but there's a real kind of resurgence of people wanting to get back to land to learn how to farm again. And I think these kind of areas that are dormant have somewhat been overlooked, I think, in terms of if like the Bill Gates and all these guys who are buying up agriculture, they're buying up kind of raw land in a way to farmland. But I think these old kind of abandoned areas are kind of getting overlooked as if they have nothing to offer. And I think hemp gives us some tools to be able to reclaim the land again, not only health-wise for the soil, but also to bring in economics back to these areas that really integrates well with what's already happening. like as Eliana will share about Montague, you know, kind of what they're looking to do there, and how hemp has some relevance to that. You know, it's come up that, you know, that hemp isn't everything, and hemp isn't, you know, it's not everything for sure. It's not, you know, without the consciousness and without the awareness around it, it could be just as destructive as anything else. And it can become another monocrop, and it could, you know, we could get into another cycle where the solution to the problem becomes a bigger problem in the end of the day. So we really need to do it in ways that are in full awareness of what we're doing from the very beginning, and looking at all angles, and not just looking at it with rosy colored glasses, but seeing how it really integrates and supports what's already happening in these areas, to get us back to the land. So I had a lot of downloads about what Haven Earth can bring in the ministries in terms of about these planting these seeds of the hempel, these energetic structures that create a purification on the land energetically, not just with the hemp itself. And I'm already getting
that idea that every community, based
like,
on with
in the
what we
Indian
learned
tradition,
that every community has a temple, right?
well,
They wouldn't.
they say don't live in a city unless it has a temple in India. And I think that's very relevant to what we're doing now. Like, why, you know, these might just be small communities in the beginning, but if you look around the history of the US, all these cities started off as little small pockets of people coming to the land, and pioneering. So what we're doing now is going to seed bigger encampments of people into the future. So we should really be cognizant of that, and our role being as the seed planters for the future. So I don't want to take too much time.
Well, I think that's a great segue to Michael for you to share, because you've been doing so much research and working with hemp. Would love for you to add your voice to the conversation. Thank you, River. That was great.
Yeah, that was really good. Hold on, let me change this. There we go. Now I can see all the beautiful faces. That's cool. Much better that way. Yeah, I mean, of course, it goes without saying about the consciousness piece. I mean, lack of consciousness can ruin anything. You know, we see what it's done to yoga in some quarters. You know, it's like an exercise, you know, to look better for some people, you know. So we always have to bring our consciousness to whatever we're doing. So, but that being said, in the new world, gonna have to have hemp. It may not be everything, but it's almost everything. So that's good enough. You know, if it can replace plastic and paper and a lot of pharmaceutical drugs. I mean, there's been in a lot of the states that have gone medical or legalization in some way, the rate of use of pharmaceutical drugs has gone down. So it can replace some of that. I mean, it's, you know, we'd have to do a real study to like really link that, but that's been the pattern in all these states. So it can replace a lot of that. I mean, it can be a superfood, or it is a superfood. You know, I mean, um, haven't made the connection, but you know, Tesla always talks about 3, 6, and 9. So with our superfood, we have omega 3, 6, and 9 in the right proportion, not just a bunch of it, but in the right proportion. So it's you know, makes it flax is really good in terms of that oil, but if you do too much flax, you can unbalance yourself after a while because the ratio is a little bit off. Not that way with hemp. And then replacing building materials, or some of them, or a lot of the building materials. I mean, this is major. I mean, you know, they didn't call it $1 billion crop in 1939 for nothing. And, you know, because it's up against those industries, you know, it's like DuPont, you know, which goes into the Bush family, and the Hearst family, and that's on that side. Then the Rockefellers and the Mellons, or the Carnegies. Um, then if they kind of use their race thing to get it made illegal and put in Schedule 1, and it's been like this forever waiting for it to get off Schedule 1, which is like the schedule with LSD and heroin and cocaine, and which is blatantly ridiculous. I mean, um, so we've been trying to get this off forever. It's been going on forever. People, in some states, the medical thing has kind of gone awry. Things are more expensive, or it's like tied into just money people. So like, again, the consciousness kind of ruined things, and so because we can do all this with hemp, there's paper too. So there's, with the paper, it's like, um, instead of 20 years to grow a tree, it's one season, or 1 year even to get like 4 harvests, depending on where you are. I mean, definitely 3, and that shouldn't take the biggest machines. I mean, people are probably going to have to do this in small batches, because people were doing this in the 1900s and earlier, so it doesn't take a big industrial thing. So, that being said, going to the new world, hemp has got to be a part of it. And hemp and cannabis, I mean, they're cousins, but it's I couldn't see it without. I mean, I've seen, I've seen all these herbalists with their, like, if you're going to take a certain amount of plants to an island and start over, hemp is always in the top 3, you know. Um, so I don't know what else to say. I mean, questions help, because there's just so much in here. I just
Yeah.
organizing it.
I love it. I think this is great, Michael, because, one of the feedback we've had, because, you and River kind of immersed in hemp and I'm immersed in it from a more of the medicinal side of things. But sometimes we assume everybody understands all of the things, and we can dive more into different aspects of it. But I think creating a broad stroke of why this plant is so valuable. I mean, and I feel like we all kind of down deep know that it is, but maybe we don't completely understand it. And I've come to have a greater appreciation. Like, I've been working with it for years, and I remember my, organic cafe where I was all about superfoods and, medicinal mushrooms. Like, I was like, yeah, hemp is great. And everybody wanted to deregulate it. I mean, I showed the film, 10 years ago, and knew it could be. I mean, I was always interested in it from a regenerating the earth, and solutions to the plastics and the regenerating the soil, and then came to understand and appreciate the body. But I do think there's a spiritual aspect to this plant, this cannabis consciousness, that is really related to us being ready and with humanity to really appreciate this plant. I think it has been kind of misused and, in a sense, not fully understood, because it's been hybridized to have those higher and higher levels of THC. That's not the natural state of the plant. And it's just so interesting that the THC aspect has become the focus when it's so useful for so many other things. As far as industries, if we're talking about the toxic, materials used for building, or the plastics. I mean, and I know that they're using it in combination with mushrooms, and we all know that mycelium, I think it's, that's the other solution. Paul Stamets, got that 10 years ago. So if you look at the combination of hemp and mushrooms, right, as far as building and restoration and regeneration. But there is this other aspect of, since I've been consuming it for the last 5 years, that brings another awareness. And I've traveled to Japan, 6 times specifically for hemp, and began to understand what is revered in Japan, in the Shinto religion, and what they call asa over there is this spiritual connection, because they use it. It's highly illegal, right? Highly, highly illegal. And that's another story, how that happened. But as far as the ropes and the fabrics and in their temples, how hemp is is used as this and revered as this sacred plant. It's very deep roots,
Yeah.
and that is what gave me this deeper understanding. And then working with River, and Katrina kind of nailed it when she said, like, River's kind of like speaking from the, the voice of the plant. Like if the plant could have a voice, like an understanding. It's not that we're just saying build with hemp. We're saying understand the frequency of hemp and how we're putting that into the building materials and how we're creating with that. So there's a certain frequency that these homes are not just healthier for the environment, they're actually healing systems, that when we're sleeping or creating or cooking or living in this hemp home, it's like a filtration system. And it's something where we can create all these things that we're looking at, like, EMF protected when we're using it in combination with basalt and all these things. Like, these are the ways that we're going to regenerate the internal biome of our bodies. So yeah, and that's just been in the last couple months that we've kind of been working together, that I keep understanding these deeper layers. I'm like, yes, hemp is everything.
Yeah, because hemp,
yeah,
the hemp is it's slightly conductive. The material itself, like copper is or something. So if you're going to build a pyramid and you want to build a copper pyramid, that's a great thing to do. But also to have some hemp in there, and having a hemp house and being inside a hemp structure, like you're saying, it's just going to like raise the vibration.
Well, I mean, they're
that
saying
much.
that, they're saying there's work being done around hemp as a cell, a battery cell. Actually, they make biochar out of hemp, and it actually holds a higher charge than what we're using in the batteries today. And literally, you could have the walls to your house actually carrying a very, very low amount of energy as a battery storage in your whole entire structure. I'm not sure how that would feel overall. It would need a lot of more experimentation, but it's a whole new dynamic to how we're thinking about building materials. We're talking about, we're just starting to understand our own physical structure and our own energetic fields. And I think as we start to unpack that, we're seeing, oh, okay, so now also our buildings and all the food we have should be in line, resonant with where we're going. Otherwise, it's like we're carrying part of the dead system with us, in these
Because
building systems.
buildings have frequencies. Like a lot of the old temples in Europe are somewhere around 111 hertz, which is great for singing. And also Veggio set of 6 tuning, 3 of the intervals are in 111, which is super interesting. But the churches are like from 110 to 112. So yeah, buildings with frequencies.
Yeah, that's part of the Vedic materials, understanding of materials in the Vedic temple building community. It's very important, the frequency of the materials you use in them buildings, because they're obviously a conductor. So steel is a very dirty conductor of energy, so they don't use steel. But hemp is high frequency material, and it's kind of like the new temple building material. So creating these little temple structures
and they used it in they've used it historically.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's
exactly.
not like it's new.
Yeah. And maybe we want to let
well, what was interesting
share a little bit
is
as well.
when we stayed with Eliana and Bobby there in Montague, her passion for wool is similar to River's passion for hemp, and there were so many similarities in the way that they were speaking about it, and the energetics of it. So I'd love for you to share, Eliana, a little bit about what you're doing there. I know people can look at the videos that we did, but also, takeaways from our time together and what you're visioning.
So, hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay. So yeah, well, why don't I start by showing you what I do. Let's see. Can you see?
Yeah, just be careful moving the computer because there's a lot of noise when you move it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So there's the felt.
Yes.
And can you lift it up and show them? this is my idea of the ideal sleeping. No, you have to take the sheet off of it so they can see the layers.
Bring your computer down a little bit.
What's that?
Put your computer down a little lower. There we go.
So my idea, after it's been a lifetime of focusing on the bed, started out with the cotton futon from Japan. Their inspired ways with everything inspired me. So I started out with cotton futons, and then realized that wool was going to be so much more beneficial in the sleeping environment. Cotton tends to mildew, and wool is very self-reliant with its management of moisture. So here's layers of felt. I live in Montague, where a carding mill was set up in 2000. And
Come back into the camera, Eliana, so they can see.
Oh, okay. Okay. So anyway, so I moved to Montague in 2002, soon after the carding mill was set up here, from the Bay Area, and to this tiny little.
This was an old mill that they moved.
Yeah, it was a
Typically
very old
to make the wool beds.
It was one of the last mills in North America or in the US that did a totally vertical operation with wool. So a friend of mine, a collaborator, bought it and set it up here in Montague. And so soon after that, I moved here to be close to the mill and continued developing my relationship with the bed and the wool and the sourcing of the wool. And also, where's that book? Something that's very near and dear to me is this idea of getting back to having our sheep graze freely over the landscape without fences, just being able to move around on a migration route. So yeah, here's, so can you see that?
Down a little lower. So this idea of shepherding,
Yeah.
going back to the natural ways.
Right. So that, which is the natural way, everywhere in the world, until we started to do things in a backwards way and, slicing up our landscape the way we have and keeping the animals enclosed. They should be able to roam. So anyway, so that's the long-term vision, and we're just sowing the seeds for that. So I
just want to paint people a picture, Eliana. So where you are now, there's 4 buildings that's on the main street, which is like the old Western town in Montague, which is a half hour from Mount Shasta. Most people know that as a landmark, and about an hour from Ashland, Oregon.
Right.
And then like what, a mile or two is
And
the land.
Yeah, a mile away is land. Can you see the buildings?
Yeah, it's a little hard and it's a little loud.
Okay.
But about a couple miles from there is the 38 acres that
1 mile.
was, a mile is like you could practically see it there, the mill, and then the 38 acres that was gifted to you, you're stewarding. And I think if you could share a little bit about what your vision is for the land and an invitation for people where, River's gonna hopefully be working with you guys on a master plan to articulate that vision, but seeing people there living on land, growing food, the sheep on the land, but also the piece of how you want to kind of get out of that construct of having ownership of the land and the buildings. I think that would be really interesting to this community.
Yes, and the other thing here in these downtown buildings is we have these community spaces, which is why we were able to host this event with Imani and River. And so that's an exciting piece of it. So in the farm is, the future dream. I still live downtown. We have a caretaker there, and we're working towards creating, we want to learn everything we can about how to hold ownership of large pieces of land like that. We're going to go visit Mike Colum on Monday and learn all we can from him for how we can eventually bring ownership of these, basically commercial or
Agricultural.
Commercial buildings, and then, like large pieces of land that have the kind of potential that one has, that it needs to be a shared co-creation. And so I've been holding this space. My partner of many years passed away in 2014. And at that point, I was basically handed the reins, something I never thought I would do, for holding the deed on these properties. So it's really challenged me to look deep into how we hold ownership. Yeah. And it's very much a work in process, and it's overwhelming at times, but it's
So talk about the transparent financial thing and all that.
yeah. So and then
I think for that, Bobby, just because what you're doing as far as a model, I think the significant thing, and you can say hi, Bobby, because Bobby's the one that,
Hi.
hi, that this, as you're looking to shift this way of ownership and then have it be a shared thing, I think that's really significant, and that there's actually a lot more land that's very inexpensive where you are. So there's a lot of potential for, particularly, I think, families. And it's like be a great space for an educational center, because you have the animals, specifically the sheep. You have multiple businesses, the Felton Collective, the ability to grow food and have bees, all kinds of things. But for families, if there are any families with young children that are still wanting to stay in California, that would be an area that there would be a lot of potential for families to come together, because you need youthful energy on the land to grow food and to actually help develop the land.
yeah.
But also there's an opportunity, even though it's not it's been a depressed economic area. There's not much there, and there's not much jobs, but it could create a mecca, could be a stopping point between, let's say, Ashland and Mount Shasta, because you're on this major road.
Right.
As far as its accessibility, that's really easy as well.
Right.
But I think
Right.
the fact that there's businesses that can be run because you have the building you're in, that there's ability to have a cafe, a yoga studio, working co-op, and there's so much possibility, because the resources you have are this land and these buildings. Really just need the energy and the people and get the clarity around the vision
Right.
to make that happen. So much
Yeah.
is possible. from that
And
perspective.
the so we're looking for somebody to run a cafe here. So just to know, and also the yoga studio.
But the first step is to get this clarity around this shared
The
ownership
vision
and
the
the
master
the
plan
vision.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get the download from Mike on Monday. We're going to go there for an overnighter with 2 carloads. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Another thing was that, with the event that showed up, there were great people. I mean, Daniel, young father, who's been researching PMAs and land trusts, and the other thing I put in there. So I put all theirs. I mean, there's people with resources and ideas, and lots of parents looking to have alternative educational solutions for their children. Specifically, I mean, you kind of went into the wool as far as the aspects, but that piece was so intriguing to us about the combination of the wool and the hemp, because we feel that hemp in any community would be a kind of a way to magnetize people to come, because people want to experience living in a hemp house. And there's the ability to set up so many different structures on your land. That's really curious, and it's set up for permaculture. There's water running through. I mean, maybe you can speak to that. I did some video of the land, and I didn't really get you to talk about that on the video because you were not close by.
And I have a question too about, I never did get to talk about that with you, River, about making bricks with hemp. Is that something you've seen at all? I mean, using
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, making bricks is
We're actually
where there's conversations where we are here. Somebody just bought a brick making machine.
really.
in
Yeah.
Taos.
So
That's a great thing.
Sweet.
we're looking at getting into potential mixes of adobe mixed with hemp. This machine can produce almost 1,000 bricks per hour.
Nice.
Wow.
And then we have the
Yeah.
wool to insulate as well, and the wool beds to sleep on. I mean, like nature healing.
Yeah.
So I feel like the bricks are a wonderful way for like families to start to build small things. I mean, they're just a great tool, I think, for getting us off the ground with building. you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
definitely.
love bricks. And when I was in Ecuador, everybody has bricks, big pile of bricks in their yard.
Yeah.
They're, ready to add on or do something.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting, they're shipping bricks up from Mexico to New Mexico, Adobe bricks,
Wow.
because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
But we have Adobe. I mean, the whole point of Adobe is that it's from the land that you're on. I mean, that's kind of the relevance of it.
Right.
I mean, but we were shipping hemp in from Europe to build houses in the US. It's only now that we're getting hemp in the States and the production in the States to actually work for housing here. But yeah, I mean, I think this is the great thing around all of what we're doing, and it'll segue well into I think what David's doing as well. It's like it's really these new ways that are going to inspire people to want to be back in these agricultural areas, and things like the wool mill or whatever it is. It is.
I was checking out the video you posted, Michael. Looks like a good one. Multitasking.
Yeah.
Just aside, the name of the book, Pat was interested, I don't know if you saw in the chat, if you can put it in the chat, Ileana, and then also Luma is right near you. Well, not
Mhm.
right near, but 4 hours. If you're going to Nevada City, like what, it was a 4.5-hour drive. So Luma is who we stayed, where we went to Nevada City after we left Montague. So the two of you should connect. I don't know if you're all connected,
Yes.
but okay.
Not yet, no.
So definitely connect, put your information in the chat. And she was asking about the meeting on Monday, but she's going to be our community highlight for next week. So you'll get to see her video on what she's doing there in Nevada City on the Ridge. But definitely the two of you should connect and make that connection. I want to just be conscious of time because we want to end an hour, and I want to give David a chance to speak about Mexico. And then obviously Farian is going to close us out. And I don't know how much time you need for that, but Michael, or David, I just want to welcome you to our
Thanks,
community.
Ileana.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
So tell us your visions, because we got to chat the other day on the phone and we're excited to meet in person, but maybe let people hear a little bit about yourself and what you're dreaming up.
What?
It's not my-
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm a 26-year-old, visionary and passionate hemp. I'm so passionate about hemp. I just educated myself really, on my own. And through my research, I came across Haven Earth. And, there's space in Mexico right now that my family has. And, I was sharing with my mom the benefits of hemp and the abundance it could bring. But really, my timeline I see for, I'm a father of twins. So, I'm really thinking about the next generation now and the potential of hemp and the future and communities, sovereign communities, organically can come together, all over the world and connect. But Mexico is so open. It's right now, they legalize marijuana medicinally, and the hemp movement is present there for sure, and a lot of people are really gaining awareness of it, and I think the time is now for sure, and it's been right, but right now it's like pushing a lot of people towards this timeline of creating eco villages and really living out the land and connecting to the land and each other. And I like what Paul was saying. He shared with me on the on stream interview how and even I think today he mentioned how the homes really connect you to the earth, and it has a frequency. So really, when we have a electromagnetic field around us and everything, right? So when we connect that heart energy to even our garden or to one another, right, it expands. And imagine that for a home, where we could actually talk to our home and connect to that home and share that sacred space for everyone. But I feel like Mexico and a lot of the southern countries are really open for this, for hemp. And even in Belize, you know, I went to a hemp workshop and I connected with a contractor in Belize that's also trying to start something up in Belize and bring hemp to that country, in that region. So it's very exciting. It's very exciting stuff. And I feel like, you know, with the right people and the right vision and master plan, I think it's a very, very huge possibility.
So David, I'm just, you know, you're from Mexico originally, you're living in San Diego. We talked about that. So there's some land outside Mexico City. You know, there are so many people in our community that are feeling into Mexico, and obviously River and I are definitely, that's ultimately what we're feeling as one of our landing spots. Answer some questions about people, you know, it's like, okay, is Mexico safe? Getting back and forth. What would say the things that we would need to know? We have some ideas, but just so people can hear from you, what your thoughts are, being someone that has roots there.
Yeah, I think usually outside the cities, you know, even in the cities, it's pretty safe. Now most of the, you know, violence has gone down. And especially if, you know, once marijuana got legalized, you know, a lot of that activity, you know, is going to go down a lot more. But you know, the safety around, if you're with local people and you connect, a lot of people in Mexico, they're very noble people, they're very humble, and they're open to anyone, really. They're very welcoming. And you know, if you're really not doing any trouble or committing any crimes or anything, like, you're good. You know, everyone is really minding their own business and, you know, trying to survive and make a living. So I think that the safety of it is really good, especially if you can come together as a community and with locals and connect and make connections is definitely important, you know, to not be an outcast and be involved with the community and in the land around.
Yeah, I think that was kind of our discussion, right? I mean, it's if we go in there with this elitist idea of having some expat gated community, we really you put a target on your back, actually. And
Yeah.
this is what they're doing in South Africa and Johannesburg and all these places, massive barbed wire fence walls, you know, like crazy. And it just creates this atmosphere of us and them.
Right.
And all my experience of traveling around in all these different communities is when we actually reach out and connect with the community that you're growing into and being a part of, and you show that you really want to respect them and also bring something to that community that they can benefit from. It transforms the dimensions of the possible relationship. And having, like, I've also like young Mexicans who are also kind of aware of the Western mentality in the system, I think, is something, because there's that bridging that needs to happen. And how what we have to offer from the Western point of view can be beneficial also, not just coming the other way. It's a reciprocal relationship where we can bring knowledge, and bring in something like hemp and our knowledge around hemp, we become a resource, actually. So the idea of setting up a school in Mexico is really coming through really strong. School and a community around that, so education becomes the connecting piece that brings a wider community together.
Yeah, and I think that you, with all the workshops that you've done, you notice how it brings people together, you know, and you know, it brings people outside of their comfort zone, even, you know, outside their shell, and they're vibing and they're learning and they're just creating, and it's a special moment and a special thing to be a part of, you know, and it really does bring community and people together. And I think that's one of the best ways is workshops and creating that education center, and then just expanding that to, like, you know, residential livings with hemp homes and stuff like that. It could even be tiny homes. It could be, you know, little spaces that, you know, you can have together with other people, you know, and not really take up too much land, but, you know, have the sufficient needs, you know.
Yeah.
So you were originally, your family's from Mexico City, so and that's one of the areas we're gonna be looking at when we go through the piece of land that you have and then some other ideas. And then many of you and some of you are with us in Trancones, and David might hop over that way with us to go explore because he hasn't explored that part of Mexico. The thing about Mexico is it's so vast.
Oh, yeah.
So it's so many riches of resources and there's so many different regions and areas. We actually see multiple kind of hubs in Mexico that'll work together. And I know many of you, some of you told me about and watched whatever Derek Bros and Freedom Cells
John
did,
Bush, yeah.
John Bush did this weekend on
Exiting
the
this-
exit strategy, because they've been bringing lots of people in Mexico. And that's actually how I ended up in Trancones, is I was at that
the
greater
reset.
greater reset event in Zihuatanejo, where, because Trancones is, you fly into Ixtapa, it's only 20 minutes from there. So there are people that are actively doing things and building in Mexico already.
Yeah.
But I think that for us, it's really, everything for me is about relationships and every aspect of how I navigate in the world. And so I feel like we have to have relationships with people that are connected to the land and to bridge so that we can come in. And I also see, like Eliana, like we don't even need to be owning land. We just need to go in and be regenerating and bringing things back. Because there's always that issue in Mexico about owning land. And that's what I'm not interested in recreating. I'm interested in finding people that have a connection to the soil there and to that place that can teach us that we can be helping improve that region wherever we land.
Absolutely.
So we're so excited, David, to be
Yeah.
going in this journey with you, and
Yeah.
anyone else that's wanting to be in Mexico with us. It looks like and maybe Chicha, you can just say for a minute about the Thanksgiving gathering at your place in Texas. After that, we're going to head to Mexico for probably 10 days to 2 weeks. Probably starting in Mexico City because it's easy to fly in there. And then heading over to Trancones. So I'm literally in the next 24 hours going to be working out dates. So if anybody feels like they want to be part of that at any point of the journey, let us know. There's always the issues of how you come back in and all of that. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. So we won't dive into that. But Chicha, maybe do you want to share an update on the Thanksgiving gathering at your place?
Yeah,
Thanks,
and I will
David.
have my calendar in
Thank
front of me,
you.
but I don't. Hi. I believe it's the 20th through the 28th. Is that right? Monday through Monday, inviting folks to come to Houston or the Houston area. The gathering is, well, Imani and River are going to be there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that's when the event, whatever the main gathering is going to be. But if y'all want to come earlier, you're welcome to come earlier. We've got 13.
We'll be there earlier too, Chicha.
Yeah, we'll be there Thanksgiving Day. But
Yeah.
we'll be there earlier. But the earlier part of the week, Monday through, I guess, Friday or Thursday, is just kind of chill out and rest and relax and get to know one another. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday will be more like, if anyone has any gifts they want to present or, any kind of presentation they make here to share with the group, that'll be a good time to be doing that. And then on Sunday, we're going to have a potluck for the surrounding, anyone who wants to come as well. That might be a little confusing, but Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And you're welcome to come a little bit earlier. And then Sunday being the day that more people will be joining from
Local Texans.
Yeah. So we got plenty of space here if anyone's interested. Room, camping.
Beautiful lake,
What?
beautiful
Ch-
pond.
Chicha,
and
we forgot to ask you, did your
get your
did
tiny house.
did she get delivered safely?
She's here. Little baby tiny house. She made it earlier in the week. So
Good.
it'll be all dressed up and ready to hold somebody. Yeah.
The two tiny houses
2 tiny houses. We got
by the
plenty.
lake.
Yeah. So if you're interested, just, reach out to me. I got my email address on the chat.
Thanks, Chicha. Can't wait to see you. And
Yay.
Monday,
been a while.
and Pat.
Hey, Pat.
Hey, you guys, I just want to briefly, I know we're close to the end here, but it would be remiss if I didn't like really just say how much we appreciate you being here. And oh my God, what's been going on since you guys left? We're really in the flow here. And there's some really exciting things on the horizon here that we're going to share with you fairly soon. So
Good.
anyway, any of you out there who have the great good fortune to have Imani and River come to your community, it's just so amazing. Just really just such great heart connection and love from you guys. And thank you so much.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Bobby.
Bobby. Love you guys.
Yeah,
Love you.
good. It does feel like there's like a, that activation, taking things to the next level. So I know you guys are going to be doing like regular meetings and starting on that process. So we were happy to do our part, like to be a catalyst. And we loved going to Mount Shasta with you. So that was super sweet. Even though I didn't have my snow boots
on the snow.
I think they're arriving today, my coats and boots at the end of the trip. So that's a whole other story. But so anybody else have anything they want to share before Fairy Ann closes us out? Questions or comments? Great shares, everyone. Thank you.
I just want to share my gratitude for everybody here, for Paul, Imani, for the work you guys are doing. I feel like you guys are one of the few people that are actually pioneering this movement, to create community with hemp and other people like-minded that are, trying to connect back to nature and create a sovereign life and community, outside a system that has really pushed us down and try to take everything from us. But I just want to give thanks to everybody here and blessings and love for everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Hempineers, we like to say. I have does anybody else want to share anything?
Yeah, I would also love to say thank you very much for both joining and listening in and all the work you're doing. Although I'm a little sorry about being so far away, but anyways, I will do what I can do to take all the knowledge and bring it to Denmark and get started building, hopefully many hemp buildings next year. So learn during the winter and then get started next year. So a little bit of time to learn all the stuff and build some temples. I guess that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
One quick question: are you?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm just curious. Do we work together with what are they called? BioArc. What's called Thomas Brown and Juan Schlosser, and so I'm really curious because I really like to build many different types of buildings, but especially also temples. And reading about what they are doing and also listening to David Cerita and all of those, knowing about the what it's called, proportions and dimensions and so on. So before just drawing some random drawings on a piece of paper and then building that, it will be, I'm so curious about finding out the proportions and what can I do to make a building that serve best as a temple.
I know River will answer that. Is it Marius? Is that how you say it? How do you?
Yeah.
Marius.
That's fine. Marius.
No, what's the right way? Marius. River can answer that, but one of the things we're doing is working on the course, which will be like a training certification in person, but we'll also have an online version. And like the Hemple that we just built in Maui, he has all the dimensions and the breakdown, and that'll be part of, so that's all coming. As far as some designs, you can speak more to that.
Just need to find the little, when we're not
I'm totally dreaming about like this.
Yeah.
I actually spoke to a friend like a half year ago. It would be so nice to have like this sort of open source platform where you have like houses as a, so an open source platform for houses, and why not start with what makes maybe most sense now, hemp. So you kind of have like templates,
yes,
and ideally some sort of open source community. And
Yeah,
I would definitely love to help out if,
Yeah.
if
Just lock me away in a room for a few months.
no, it's gonna be, I'm working on it. He says we're traveling too much for him to do anything, but I have visions of that happening soon. But email River at info@havenearth.biz so we can be in contact with you, because if there's anyone out there that wants it, that has ability to create an open source platform, he's got the ideas on the design side. So there will be like a book with the course, but I love that idea of an open source platform where people can share for sure. You know, because we definitely need the designs, and then here we need the workforce to build the homes too, because I think the demand is going to be increasing, but we're all learning from each other. And if you're on, I don't know if you're on Instagram, but we did do like on the story with the hemple that's in Maui, you can kind of see, if you go in the highlights, the sort of process. And we did do some videos that will be part of the course and stuff that we're rolling out. But we want to make it really accessible to people. And we're really interested in getting the youth involved specifically, which was really exciting because we did have some young people at all of our workshops that are like David, super excited. And that gets us more excited because they see it, they see the potential, and they have the energy to do it. And they don't want to wait. They just want to do it. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, we're definitely not about running away from the old system. It's just about creating these new ways that are really accessible to people in a decentralized way. You know, and looking at micro hubs of production where you give them the template of how to build it out, the grow, the processing, the building type materials, and how to implement that, whether that's panelized system, whether that's bricks, whether that's et cetera. It's so much, you know, I could get lost in the potential of it all, but it's like where to focus first.
I have some ideas.
Oh God.
We stayed at the, we were in Twin Falls and stayed at this hot springs and stayed in a geodesic dome. I was like, River, can we make this out of hemp? So we're like, but like triangle panels and like, so yeah, we have lots of ideas that we're doing, but that one design, we have all of the measurements and all of that was built. So I think, and it's also whether they're homes or these are non-permanent structures, because so many people are looking for non-permanent structures that would be around. So it depends on where those regions are, because that's a big deal in places like Hawaii and all of that, where they don't, building permits. But what was that?
It's just the geodesic type of structure, building triangles.
That's a good segue to pass it to you to close, because I know we're at the hour, but I wanted to say that just so everyone knows.
Horses love to eat hemp, just FYI.
Yeah, horses and hemp. We were with horses yesterday, but we're meeting every other week. And then this next time is Thanksgiving. So we may not be meeting, we may, because we'll all be together in community, but I'll send an email out. And but we do have more to share in the emails with community highlights. So there's a lot coming. And if anybody wants to do a video and send it our way and share it with the community, we're happy to share that as well. So yay. All right, Fairy Ann. Go for it.
So I think we should end with sound. We should send sound out to the world.
It's a big echo, Fairy Ann.
And I think we should, speaking of source, you guys hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it was
okay.
And I want to picture. Can everybody come on camera?
Oh.
If you were gonna take even the things that weren't spoken and just create a sound effect for taking that out of the screen into your own fractal version of whatever this collective consciousness is that we're all in, and a sound effect for bringing all of everything that you were just connected to into you. And then we'll just hold that for a minute. And then we will release that back out with a different sound. So everybody's going to take their mic off. And we're just going to like breathe in with a sound. And then breathe out with a sound, and you're gonna just like, that sound is gonna be the sound of like, you know, abracadabra of today, this moment. If you had a sound to make it all come true. So are you ready? Shake out your fairy wings and just blow out all your air. And take it. What sound to take it all in?
Love you all.
Blessings.
Bye,
One love,
everyone.
bless.
Yeah.
Hope to see you in
Bye.
Texas.
Yes, hope to see some of you in Texas. Bye, everyone.
Everybody.
Bye bye.